Sky was a perfect first 3 innings, hitless into the 6th after 5 2/3. And then what happened with Connor there? Why did it come apart so quickly?
Well, it's not like they were just tearing the cover off the ball. I think they were making contact, which he's a contact pitcher. He keeps the ball down. It looked like he was trying to they were laying off some of his low breaking balls, his slider and his sinker, and they were laying off that a little bit out of the zone. And he was trying to elevate it a little bit to get some called strikes, and therefore it got up in their eyes where they could see it. Made contact, and so, like I said, some of them are just good CNI hits.
Yeah, Mikael Hilliard went 5 full innings for LSU, and Arkansas, just like I said, couldn't get a lot going. Manufactured a run in the first after Caden Wallace got another one in the third, but. Pitching was pretty good in this game. It wasn't a well-played defensive game, as LSU was even having some trouble getting the ball to first base early in this ball game. What was your thoughts on Hilliard's performance last night for LSU?
He's a good pitcher. He's not going to overpower you. You can look at his stats and you say, well, the guy, he doesn't throw that hard. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. But he keeps you in ball games because he changes speeds, he changes locations, and people will say over and over and over, you got to throw 95 with a nasty slider and this and this and this. Big loopy curveballs don't work in Division I baseball. They do. They work everywhere because it throws your timing off. You've got to sit back and the ball's not coming up there straight. It's hitting several planes. Everybody has trouble with that pitch. You would think everybody would throw it, but it's not an easy pitch to throw. But he's got control of those things, and he doesn't walk a lot of people. Although last night he had some walks. Uncharacteristically, I think he may have got caught up in the moment a little bit, the crowd, and the fact that he's playing the Razorbacks, and a little bit of that looks like he got scared out of the strike zone a little bit. So I think he's a good pitcher, and he kind of does his job. And if they don't play good defense behind him, which you can see they really don't, it makes it tougher on him.
All right, Scott. This Clay. You're pitching, and a guy leans back and chops down in the middle of your catcher's arm. And the next time he comes, do you drill him or any batter? Is it the next batter? Or can you get him later in the series?
Well, for one thing, as a pitcher, unless you're a reliever and you're going to be throwing 3 days in a row, your chances are going to be limited. Now, if you're a starter and you're going to see him again in a couple of innings, you don't necessarily want to drill him. I've just never been a big fan of drilling, but I'll tell you, a fastball at any level at the chin, which is a dangerous pitch, but at the chin, they're going to move their head. You see pitchers come inside all the time now, and they got so many pads on them, they just turn their shoulder, take it off the pad, and go to first base. You give them a free base. I was more of a fan of trying to see the bottom of their cleats. And so you can't really do that anymore. It's just the game has changed. Bob Gibson, when he was with the Cardinals, he turned guys upside down all the time. He'd throw 3 at their head and then throw 3 strikes and strike them out. He was just intimidating. But I'd come in on him because it's on purpose. He's trying to get on because he's struggling to hit the ball.
It's really a dangerous play for your catcher. I mean, he's got nothing on his arms. I mean, I know. That wasn't a swing. It was a chop down.
It was a chop.
It looked like a bad golf swing.
He was fooled by the pitch. Yeah, and I can relate to that. Yeah. I really can relate to that. But it did look like he was trying to. I think he was trying to make a little contact, but he was fooled so bad. It's like he just tried to throw the bat back there and just make some kind of contact and hopefully hit the glove, and he did. I don't know how many times he's done that this year. If that's something he's a regular
at. His scouting report, yeah,
I have no idea. But as a pitcher, you just hate to see that. It's like seeing a guy reach out his arm and let one nick him.
If it's the first time he's done it all year, the umpires didn't know how to handle it. They will know how to handle it because they'll get a clip of that and see it and know how bad it was. And when he does it again,
can they review that on replay?
Well,
I don't know if
that's a reviewable play. Or not. Yeah.
Boy, it should be. Because that's something you want to get right just for the safety of the game.
Yeah, because for those that are just hopping into the conversation, talking about the catcher's interference call last night when LSU first baseman Trey Morgan was at the plate and he got first base awarded on a catcher's interference call where Clay and I were talking about this earlier. I don't know if you were listening, Scott. I thought Turner's glove was where it belonged. The bat was where it didn't belong, and that was going backwards. He swung backwards, and like Clay's described it, chopping down. It looked like a guy that had 1 foot in the bunker and 1 foot on the top lip, and he's trying to hit a chip shot around the green in an awkward stance and line. It just was a bad swing, is what it looked like.
And his upper body was leaning backwards.
Yeah.
Right. You'll have some hitters who, when they get fooled and they're trying to let the ball get deep, not necessarily be fooled, but trying to let the ball get deep, and they'll kind of drop their hands on the back and they'll drop their bat and loop it and trying to hit it the other way, and they'll get a lot of calls. We had a guy when I was with the Tigers, Reggie Thomas would do that. He played for Arkansas, but he would do that a lot, trying to let the ball get deep and get to first base. But this looked more intentional. It wasn't a big long loopy swing. It was a little bit more intentional.
Robert Moore goes 1 for 3 last night, but drives in 2 very important runs in this ball game. Was this a confidence builder for Arkansas' second baseman?
I hope so. He's still Robert Moore. And he had one ball. I think the line drive at the second baseman had runners on where it would have scored some runs. And as a hitter, all you can do is just try to barrel it up. I think Ty Cobb was a great place hitter, but since then, nobody really knows exactly where it's going. Kind of the same as a pitcher. You want to make them make contact, but you can't control where they hit it. I think it will be. It looks like he's seeing the ball, and Bobby Moore is going to be working, trying to get better because he's just a ball player. And you call it a season average because you could start off horrible and then you can finish up strong and hit 320.
Well,
he may hit low twos all year and then all of a sudden get strong and finish up strong, and you go, he had a great year. And so hopefully he's heading that way.
Defensively, he was just really impressive last night. Caught a line drive at second base, and then he made a play behind the bag to get a runner at first early in the ball game. Defensively, he may be in some describing a slump at the plate, batting was at 244 now for the year, but defensively he has been an all-league player.
Well, historically, your second base and shortstop, they're hitting the 230s, 240s, but they're playing spectacular defense. The coaches didn't really care. Now up and down the lineup, you've got to have hitters up and down the lineup, and having battles and having more both these stud hitters. Moore had one. He had one followed around see what it's eating moment when he's kicking the ball around center field. But other than that, he's always just fantastic around with the ball in his hands. So that's something that you trust, and that's a given that you have. It's like having a starting pitcher go out and know he's going to give you 6-7 innings every single time. It's a constant, and that's something that you have to have out in the field.
When you play a team like LSU, what do you do to kind of contain that extra juice that you feel? Because you still got to play the game and you got to play it composed, but it's like Texas, and you may name some other schools that was just different when you played. As a player, that's more before and after the game. Baseball is not an emotional game where every play you got to get up and I'm going to run a little harder and hit a guy harder and play and crazy and scream. You have to still stay within yourself as a player. You can't swing harder because you're playing LSU. You can't throw it harder because you're playing LSU. So the hype before the game and after you win, the satisfaction of beating a really, really good team and somebody that you just absolutely hate, it makes it sweet. But during the game, once you cross the lines, it's still 60 feet 6 inches to home plate, and the bases are 90 feet away. You got to keep in your head in the game for the lulls and for the highs and for the lows. So I don't think you really see that as much from players. As fans, we're living on every pitch because it's LSU or it's Texas but as a player, you're out there and you kind of try to stay level-headed. Sometimes you see relievers get out and get too fired up. Brady Tigert's a great example. He doesn't sit out there and holler and scream and smack his glove, and he's not, the bird fidgets where he gets out there talking to himself or anything. He stays within himself, and I think that's what's making him effective. Well, that and the incredible little slider thing that he throws, and the 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Forgot about that.
That's pretty imposing as well. All right, Arkansas going with its lefty tonight. What are some things that we need to watch for early, and what's key for these next 2 games for Arkansas to win this series?
Well, LSU has a potent lineup. Connor makes a lot of people look really, really, really regular. He makes them look very pedestrian because he stays control of himself. He keeps the ball down, and if he's not striking them out, they're hitting ground balls or he's keeping them off balance. Hagen's got great stuff. Jackson Wiggins has great stuff, but they can't go based on how Noland makes them look. So they have to come out and they have to throw the game. And the whole thing is just hitting your spots and staying ahead, and not grooving a fastball first pitch every time because they're going to try to get on you early. They showed that with Connor. When you have a guy around the plate all the time, they try to get early in the count. That way they can't be worked. But, as a pitcher, you have to get ahead. So you have to throw good strikes, not just down the middle strikes, good strikes. And then you can work the hitter and get them out to what you want on.
All right. Well, Scott, enjoy your Easter weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday as we get ready for another big SEC weekend.
Take care, Clay. Take a nap today.
He's a retiree now. That's all he does.
I'm in my geriatric stage.
Yeah.
I'm envious. All right. We'll see you guys.
Former Razorback Scott Tabor with us here on The Morning Rush.
Is your number one source for all your betting needs, sports info, and odds. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's odds for the Masters Championship and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on popular sports and games. BetOnline, where the game starts.